So like seeing Bill and Ted wasn't like her first choice of what she wanted to do, but she always choked it down. But when we said we wanted to see Point Break, something about that like broke her.
Yes.
I know you'll know where we were when. I know you'll know where we were when.
Hello and welcome to Where We Were When, a podcast where we look back at the most memorable movie-going experiences of our youth and eat candy. I'm your host, Heidi Gardner, and I'm joined as always by my brother, Justin Gardner. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Heidi. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing very well because it's a guest week. We have a guest tonight.
Yeah. Very, very special guest.
A very special guest, you guys, because, I would say that he's basically part of the show. I mean, you hear Justin and I every week, and you hear this guy. He wrote and performed our theme song, which I guess is titled Where We Were When. Please welcome Matt Saladino.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
Thank you. Double thank you for being a guest and for writing and performing our theme song. That's huge for us.
It's been an honor, and it just happened to be like my favorite type of music. When you sent me the Thompson Twins, you're like, "Can you do something like this?" It's like that might be the only thing I can do. So it worked out really well.
Well, I mean, it was super perfect because you had just been recently sending me music because you have a new album coming out. And all of the tracks you were sending me were very kind of like had that like late 80s happy pop, like heard it in a John Hughes movie sound.
All my life, I've been wanting someone like you.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah. So I was already like, I've always been a fan of your music ever since college, Zero Star. Matt had a college band named Zero Star.
I'm learning all sorts of things right now. He's got an album coming up. He was in a band called Zero Star.
Yep.
Yes. But his band now is called Waves and Waves. And those were the tracks that you were sending me. And it was just this like really serendipitous thing where I was like, oh, we're going to be doing this podcast that's like nostalgic. And do you think that you could write a theme song for that? And you were immediately down, and we're just so lucky that you did.
Well, thank you. Yeah, when you were telling me about it, I was like, oh, you're doing nostalgia? I'm also doing a bit of nostalgia right now too. I think the pandemic like brought it out in people. I don't know. Has anybody asked you like where did Where We Were When come from?
I mean, I will definitely say the pandemic brought a lot of that out. A lot of the things that I spent my time doing during the pandemic were soothing myself by watching, my husband and I did Saturday morning cartoons for a while, like on Saturdays. I feel like I was revisiting a lot of things that brought me comforts. And then hearing about, I just love hearing about people's nostalgia, and that was kind of where.
I can tell you during the pandemic, so this is like a real deal thing that happened. Baseball cards, comic books just exploded. I mean, people were just buying up all the stuff from their youth. And so like, I think that, yeah, I've heard from more than a couple people. I mean, especially in the comments, like, you see the comments on Twitter and you see the comments on Instagram. People love to talk about the stuff that they love, I mean, this is also really positive too. It's like we get a chance to like talk about like the fun stuff from our past. So, and I just want to, when Heidi sent me that, I got an email and, you download it. And then from the very first moment, where it goes dunk. And I'm like, holy shit. And it was like perfect. We made you like modify one thing, like I think like one word, but like that's it. It was just like a bullseye. It was so good. And it was just because I think we gave you like sort of like the wrong information to start off. I mean, it like barely changed. It was just amazing. So every time I hear it, I just am so I just fall more and more in love with it. And it's an earworm too. Like you can't get it out of your head.
That's so good to hear. I can only imagine when Heidi's sending that to everybody and it's like, hey, this is my friend that I've known for a long time and he made this song. I just to imagine
No,
you're
but that's what this
expecting the
is.
worst.
That's what this is though. That's what's great about this. That's what this is. This is all, it's all friends too. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
these are all people that we know. They're pitching in because they love it. I mean, this is a project, you know, that is very much about love, not commerce. So, no, I mean, well, no, it was like, she's like, I think I've got a friend, Matt, and I remembered vaguely, you know, I've heard your name before. And I
Been
just
around.
remembered, yeah. And I remember, I'm pretty sure I've heard some of your music. I'm pretty sure I heard, Zero Star, is it? I'm pretty
yeah.
sure I've heard
Oh
that.
yeah.
But it was like, yeah, ask Matt to do it. You know, because like, you know, that's like we know we needed a theme song, and I mean, you know, we didn't really want to pay for it. So
You could have left that detail completely out.
they
But
can
Matt,
just beep
but
it.
Matt, didn't I offer Matt?
Well, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
true.
Like, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
that's-
always
that's-
offer, but we know that, like, you know, probably the reality is like, no, I'll just do it. You know?
Yeah.
It's great.
No, but
I mean-
no, I would actually like to clear up that I offered with also the follow through that I would pay you.
This, yeah, I mean, absolutely.
I'm turning down
absolutely.
checks. Yeah, I'm just. It's
That's
just
right.
no.
Royalties
I
will come
couldn't-
in soon.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah, I said just put my name on it. Just you know,
That's
do
right.
it as promotion because
look
it
at- and
does.
look at
It
what's-
sounds.
Yeah, look at what's
sounds-
happening now. You're on the show. You're on the show promoting your album. I mean,
Here I am.
Huge promotion.
there's no greater currency, Matt. There's no
Exactly.
greater currency. That's right.
Matt, what's the album called?
The album is called After School Special.
Well,
And I feel like I have to. Okay, well, from your reactions, then you know about after school specials. But like through talking to a lot of my friends about this as I was working on it, it's shocking that not everybody has that same joyous memory.
They don't know about after
They-
school. What monsters don't know about after school specials? Like,
yeah, I figured like this is something that everybody knows
Everybody.
about, or even just
Yeah.
the concept of like an
Right.
after school special. But no, it's been so now I have to caveat. It's called
wow.
After School Special, which was a special piece of programming on television that aired after school. That was like a little PSA for school age kids. So yeah, it's called After School Special, which for me, I feel like the memories of leaving school when the bell rang and just having that like freedom that came with I'm out of school, my parents are still at work, I get to do whatever I want, including watch a lot of TV. That just like rings such a chord in me.
I agree. After school specials are also the reason why I don't really partake in any sort of drugs because after school specials, sometimes in an after school special, like someone would try a drug once and then like die. And it
yeah.
really like it got into me. It was like, no, I'm not. I mean, I've been the not cool person at a party many times because I'm like, I'm going to do it and immediately leave this world.
it just pops in. Yeah, you're just gonna
they
have
were
a heart attack.
effective.
Oh yeah.
They were super
So I did
effective.
DARE program also, and I think when you combine,
Mm-hmm.
early DARE program with after school special, yeah, you're terrified.
Yeah.
It worked on me too. I'm in the same spot. It's just
Yeah.
It didn't work on me, but
Okay.
But I will say that like I have absolutely stayed away from the hard stuff because not just because of the after school specials, but because do you remember Heidi? Like there was that basketball player who was coming out of college, Lynn Bias. Do you remember
Mm.
this? I think it might have been right before your time. And like that story was an after school special because he had just gotten, I think, like drafted by the Celtics. And he went to a party and he did some cocaine and then that was it. And he was like, it was literally one of those stories, like the first time somebody had done something, right? And so I know my heart hurts, but like that, but that was the thing, right? Like that was, between that and after school specials, like it was, you didn't want to mess with that stuff.
No, you don't. One thing that you do want to mess with and get addicted to is candy. I hate
Oh.
that I had to transition after Justin just told a tragic story into candy. But it is time for our concession of the week. I sent you guys both packages. Did you get them?
Yes.
I did.
All right. Should we pull out? I'll let you guys pull out first. I might have shown mine.
Did you already show?
No, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Oh.
Okay.
There we go. Oh. Dots.
Dots. Matt, I feel like I am reading. I know that we're like miles apart through the screen. I am reading a look of disappointment, a fake smile on your face right now. Am I right?
You're not like totally wrong. If I had to rank these, like they wouldn't be at the very top,
Uh-huh.
but I'm gonna eat them.
Well,
I mean, I'm not
is
gonna
that-
turn them down.
wait. So wait. The what actually does that mean? So like, does that mean they're actually close to the bottom?
It depends how
Because
big the
this
list
is-
is. Like, what are we including?
Everything. Every candy. So this is made by Tootsie Roll, right?
Yeah,
It is. It's a Tootsie. It's a Tootsie. It's a Tootsie product, and it's a Tootsie product, and it definitely has like a distinct taste. And I cannot get this fucking thing open.
Matt,
Jesus
but when's
Christ.
the last time,
Okay.
before you go judging on dots, your thoughts on dots, when's the last time you had a dot?
So it's probably been, well, it's been a long time. What I remember
Ooh.
about dots was not movie theater candy, but I remember at Halloween, like the fun size packages of dots. So
my
it
God,
was much
yes.
smaller. There'd be 5 of them or so.
Now, I'll admit, you just brought up a really good point. So I'll admit getting dots on Halloween sucked so bad. Like that sounds awful to me. I can see the fun size box of dots in my head.
Mhm.
It used to piss me off. Even as a kid, I will go ahead and say I probably wasn't picking dots a lot for my concession stand treat. But something about as I've gotten older, I think dots are good. They've got something going on. Like they're like kind of a gummy on steroid. It's like a double gummy. Like they're like a little thick, but still chewable.
Right.
So they're
Without the,
much more chewable than I remember.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
Were you
remember
thinking
these as
I think you were thinking about Juju fruits.
I think I'm guilty. Yeah. I think I was thinking of
Yeah.
Juju fruits.
There's a particular dot. It's hard to find because the cherry and there's like a light pink one or a pink one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
really good. See, like
It's
I'm
in here.
trying to find it. That one, the strawberry
here.
flavor is extremely good.
So yeah, this one and this one are like the king dots.
Pink dots.
So flavor
Oh, that's
wise,
great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a lot of Skittle flavor.
Oh
You know,
Uh-huh.
like a different form factor for a Skittle.
That's what's so
Yeah,
good about
that's
dots. That's what's so good about dots. Okay. Thank you for saying that, Matt. Dots have the Skittle flavor, but not the Skittle like cloying, just like sugar. Like it's just so sweet. A Skittle is so sweet, you
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
know? And they've got that essence, but it's not that overarching sort of like sweetness, right? And they're a
Mm-hmm.
gummy, like you said, Heidi, they're a gummy, but they don't have they don't have any gelatin in them.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't know
I,
that.
I'm
Yeah.
Oh,
which
oh
I
So
yeah.
I'm a big
appreciate. I
fan.
feel like when you say it's a gummy on steroids, I take it the other way. This is a weak gummy, and I think it's
Oh.
because it's just not as chewy, which I really respect.
But see what? Yeah,
Yeah.
but then what is it? Because I get that, but it is chewy. What is this comparable to?
It's corn syrup. It's like
Maybe
corn
it's more
syrup
like a
and
fruit
food
snack
starch.
or something.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Actually, yes. It's more like a
yep.
fruit snack. Yeah, because those weren't really gummies. That's
Yeah,
exactly it. It's more like a fruit snack.
a little bit. I don't know. I don't
Like I'm
know. I
getting
like them.
a gusher outside, just with no filling.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm.
Good point. Good point. They do a box of Valentine dots that are kind of all in that strawberry flavor range. That's a hot box of dots is the Valentine ones. Um, everyone be on
These
the
are just
lookout for those.
these are just good. I by the way, have always loved dots. I have been a big fan of these. I think because I wasn't Skittles would like make my teeth hurt. So
Mm-hmm.
I switched to dots.
Okay,
Oh my God,
I
I
get
just
that.
ripped mine open. Did not realize there's a dispenser flap here.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's the other
god.
Hello.
thing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a little dispenser flap right
Oh,
there
that's really
where you can
cute.
You know what though? It does that don't do that. That's a trap because they
Why?
get
Oh,
clumped up.
because then if you've opened it the other way already,
Well,
right.
not just that, but like if you open it this way, this whole idea it says lift to open, tuck tab to close, easy pour dispenser. Dots don't easily pour. That's a lie. And this
Because they
used to
kind of
be
stick
actually
together.
instead of this, it was the thing that you'd open up at the top. So there'd be this little thing. Yeah, because they stick together. So there would always be like 7 dots at the bottom of your box that you had to like rattle them around like in the
Mm-hmm.
theater to try and get them loose, as opposed to just being a normal person and opening them up like this and then just dispensing them that way.
Well,
So
also, if you've already opened the top and then you open the flap, then that happens
Mm,
where it comes off.
yeah,
both sides.
if you're trying to do it on purpose.
Well, I did it on accident first, and then I
Oh, you
needed
did?
to show.
That was a
needed to show
reenactment?
the viewers. That was a reenactment. Um. Okay, now Matt, it wasn't necessary. Dots weren't your concession of choice. I understand, but
Yeah.
you do have a choice in the matter next. This is where we were when, and you're our guest, so you're going to talk about your first where we were when pick. And I just want to preface this with the fact that for your episode, we chose a kind of vibe, a theme. You and I met in Missouri, but then we both ended up moving to California. I now live in New York. You're still in Cali, as they call it.
Mhm.
And so today's show is a little Californication, California centric.
Wow.
Correct?
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to say that up top. Matt, what is your first where we were when pick?
So my first pick, my top choice, as a matter of fact, like when I had heard about the podcast and I was pitching you on movies, I wanted to get this one in because I was concerned somebody else might come on talk about it before me. When this movie means a lot to me.
That almost happened. That almost happened,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Heidi saved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Saved it for
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
This is going to be like a lot of jealous people in the comments, talking about their experiences with this. So the movie is called Airborne. Okay.
Whew.
Now, d- Heidi, I know I made you watch this like 10 years ago. I
Yes.
specifically remember a friend group and me saying, guys, we have got to watch Airborne.
Of
And everybody
course,
did.
it's a great
Yes.
group watch. A great group
Mm.
watch. It always delivers. It's fantastic. Airborne came out in 1993. Matt, what age would that have put you at?
So that would have put me at 10 years old.
Okay. And give me a little bit of a 10-year-old Matt Saladino. What's he into? What's his room look like? Is he good? Is he bad? What's up?
Okay. A 10-year-old Matt was, I'd say, generally a good kid. I'm a couple years from being terrified by the DARE program and after school specials. So I'm on the right track.
Uh-huh.
So this is before I'm really into making music. And, I would say a very important part of my life is candy. Not in the dots variety, but back then,
We get it.
I was a I was a candy junkie. So chances are there were like wrappers of candy bars like hiding under my bed.
Ooh,
Um,
love that.
You're on
mhm.
the right podcast, Matt.
Yeah, I was doing the just very typical baseball cards, playing a lot of sports. So yeah, this is a 10-year-old Matt. Now, I probably didn't see Airborne until I was maybe like 12.
Okay.
So this was not a theater watch for me. This was
Okay.
an at-home viewing. And I guess before I get into that, I just wanted to, Justin, you're a little bit older. Did you remember this movie coming out?
No.
Okay.
This totally. I'm sorry. I just put a couple of dots in my mouth. This totally. If I sound, I've just been popping these things, guys. I'm serious. Like I am.
He's a
into
dot
these
head,
dots.
man.
Yeah.
I'm dot head. I am. Dude, like the first 20 minutes of this will just be like you guys talking to me. Let's just keep popping these fucking things in my
Popping
mouth.
dots.
All right, I got it. I'm good. Okay. No, I don't remember this. Like it was one of those. I do think that this is just one of those movies that just kind of came and went. Probably was towards the. I mean, this is 93, right? So like, were people
Mhm.
really into rollerblading still? Like, these things always sort of follow; they don't lead, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. In the movie, it's like I don't know if it's sponsored by Rollerblade, but like it's Team Rollerblade is involved with it. So it was very like a part of the movement. But yeah, whether it
Right.
came first or
It's like McDonald's
Whatever.
and Mac and Me. Do you guys remember Mac and Me? Like
Mhm.
McDonald's like was featured prominently.
Yeah.
It seems like it was like probably a vehicle to like promote McDonald's.
Well,
So Matt,
if Airborne was promoting rollerblading, I feel like it did a great job because
a hell of a job.
oh yeah, because
absolutely.
I know that
Because you see all the people rollerblading now,
Oh, yeah.
it's taken over. It's taken over.
Oh yeah.
They won.
Still a
Maybe in
thing.
California. It's still a thing.
Oh, it's huge. In fact, like I recently tried to buy some rollerblades. I went to an actual roller skate store. I don't know if they have those everywhere, but there is
Everywhere
a
here.
roller skate store.
There's one every block.
Okay, yeah.
Starbucks.
And there's been a run on rollerblades. So, like you mentioned about baseball cards, and I mean, apparently, you cannot get rollerblades easily. They've been bought up.
This is going to come up later. Okay. So remember this moment. If you're listening, you're watching, Matt, this is going to come up later because I think I understand why this is happening, but go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so Matt, you were 12 years old when you saw it. You were
Yeah.
at home. was this like a solo viewing? You have a sister. Did your sister, parents, who was with you? Where were you in the house? What do you remember?
Okay, so the reason why I remember Airborne and that time in my life so specifically was because there was this point in time where I was able to stay at home by myself. You know, there's this
Ooh.
time where
Oh, yes.
you need a sitter or you need to be with somebody, but there comes a time in someone's life when, you know, your parents are like, okay, you're good to go now. We're going to trust you enough to not burn down the place. So this is that period of time. And so similar to the after school special thing, like, you know, once you leave school, you've got like maybe 2 hours of time to yourself.
Mhm.
But when the summer comes and you're old enough to be by yourself, you've got an
All day.
entire day of free time
All day.
where you just like,
Incredible.
you own the day. And my sister is 7 years younger than me.
Hey,
So-
that sounds familiar.
Yeah. So there's a period of time where I was at home by myself and she was still like at a daycare or with my grandparents. So I really had the house to myself. And so the summer, you know, of like early middle school, my life, you know, I think I grew up watching a lot of like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I was probably in my own mind just reenacting, you know, being my own Ferris Bueller. But I remember I would wake up, you know, as late as possible. I would come down, you know, turn on MTV or
Mhm.
VH1. You know, you go back and forth. I specifically remember pouring a bowl of Fruit Loops and then just trying to think of like, what's the most like reckless thing I could do to these Fruit Loops? And I thought chocolate syrup. I'm just going to pour
What?
chocolate syrup on the
Ooh.
Fruit Loops and eat them because it's the summer and I can. Nobody can
That was
stop
a
me.
daily occurrence? That was a daily
Oh.
occurrence for you.
That the Fruit Loops didn't last. Just to tell you, that
Well,
was maybe
yeah.
a one-time thing. But I
Okay.
just remember.
That's like I mean, for me, that's like you're like a kid out of a movie or a kid out of a
Yes.
Fruit Loops commercial. Like that's a moment. That's bold to do on your own. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I ever I don't know why I never did that. Like I don't know why I never made like a Ninja Turtles style pizza. Like that is the equivalent. Like you went there.
Just
The
all the
Fruit
way.
Loops, the chocolate syrup, then like a little Sunny D, you know?
Oh,
That is like
yeah.
straight out of like 90s. You were a 90s kid. With
Yeah.
I
that,
know.
Absolutely.
I mean, now, okay, speaking of Sunny D, now I'm trying to think. Do you guys remember if you were like California or Florida style? Do you remember the designations of Sunny D?
I just
Oh,
drank the purple
no.
stuff. I just drank purple stuff. I didn't drink Sunny D.
You were, okay. I
No,
feel
no,
like
no.
there
That's,
was-
that's a joke from the commercial. Do you remember the Sunny D commercial?
Hey, we got some soda. OJ, purple stuff, Sunny Delight.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Like there was purple stuff, right?
Right.
Sorry. I'm sorry that went over the head.
No, that was good.
it was
We
a
missed
good
it.
deep
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut.
Well, I'm
But
gonna have
what
to
is
look
purple
after
stuff?
this.
It's great. It's like grape juice, probably, right? Purple stuff is grape
Like,
juice.
just like artificial grape.
Probably.
It's
Yeah,
gotta
not
be.
like real grape juice.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So California versus Florida, there were two
Yeah,
Sunny
I
Ds.
feel
what is
like
this?
gonna have to like look this up, but I'm pretty sure there were like two styles of Sunny D, which had slightly different flavors. And now I'm wondering,
Pineapple in California, Florida was more OJ. Would that be the
could have been,
distinction?
yeah, a little orangier. I'm
Maybe.
just
Probably.
Or like a pineapple.
It's ringing a bell.
Orange.
It's slightly like a coconut, pineapple orange blend, perhaps.
subtle.
I don't think
a
they got
subtle
coconut
difference.
in there. I
I
feel
don't
like they
know.
were going
I don't
all
know.
citrus with Sunny D.
They could do whatever the hell that they wanted. That was just water with a flavor pack in it.
Now, not to backtrack too much, but you didn't tell us if the Fruit Loops and chocolate syrup tasted good. I need to know.
Oh, no, it's terrible. Just like
No, it was a
awful
one-time deal. He said
idea.
it was a one-time
Yeah.
deal. Yeah.
Like hurts your teeth. It just is
Mm.
not
Oh,
a good
yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
But when you're at a certain age and you're not worried about taste or your teeth for that matter, you're just trying to think of like, I'm by myself here. I have access to, limited things. What can I do that just takes it as far as I can go? And that for me was, I just specifically remember first day of summer, if it's Fruit Loops and I'm going to do chocolate syrup.
Love it.
So that gets you through.
I love that though. I love it.
the
Can I just
morning.
real quickly? Can I just say that I love that like it was like you were like you had all the freedom and then you were like, I'm gonna do this. And then like
Yeah.
it's that first bite and it's like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
You know,
the
like-
kid in the
like a-
movie, why is he eating this bullshit? Right? Like, why is he putting this together? That kid in the movie who like just puts it all in the same thing. It's like, this doesn't taste good. That is like, that's a movie. It's a trope. It's a trope.
Yeah.
The kid putting everything together and just loving it. Right? Like a kamikaze drink.
I feel like that's a common theme is living out movie tropes in my life. So that was just one of another. I had another like memory of like summers where, just being liberated. I would go to my dad's record player and I specifically remember Boston. Like I thought that was like kind of like the heavier stuff in my dad's record
That wasn't heavy
collection.
shit.
I'm gonna
Boston was.
turn
was,
Boston way up, more than a feeling, and just like
Ah,
rock that.
yes.
But then, okay, so you have, just you're sleeping in, terrible breakfast, watching just, TV casually. But, oh yeah, growing up in Kansas City, it's like, it's too hot to really be outside. Like the humidity is really bad. So you just know you're gonna be inside. My parents, like we didn't go to the movies very often. I think my dad he was so like cheap, to just in a nice way, very just wasn't
Hey,
going to
Dad.
spend frivolously. And so in his mind, he's thinking like, hey, I pay for cable. Like, why would I ever need to see any movie in a theater because I have so many of them available at any given time? Okay. You've
He was
got
ahead of his time.
I think so. And
Streaming. Yeah. It's killing the movie theaters.
and so yeah, TV movies were big. And so that's why, I didn't see Airborne until a couple years at least after it came out, because I was waiting for that time when, it's going to be the summer. They know who's watching TV. And so I don't remember if it's like TBS or TNN or USA. They would just run movies during the summer. And I remember being, that age and just being inside watching Airborne as often as it came on. And, there's things that in hindsight, you realize just really stick with you. And I feel like it was the movie Airborne that really showed me like, this is what California is all about. Like, this is what people who go to California, they become extremely cool. They have, just an ability to surf and inline skate. They talk like,
I drove to my lawyer's office in Burbank. Took Highland right up to the hill, and then I hugged Barham on the left along the 101.
kind of like Zen, I don't know, Maharishi is what they call the lead character in the movie. They have a style about them. And I think that was probably like some early exposure that maybe inceptioned me, and just
Look
like,
what
hey,
happened.
you need to be in
Look what happened.
California. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you-
that happened for you.
Oh yeah.
You let the lead character, Mitchell Goosen, kind of seep in to your skin. I mean, if you kind of fucked with your hair a little right now, you'd be doing a Goosen. That's all I'm gonna say.
And I don't think that's an accident. That is.
We have
Like,
to
I
explain
probably-
the Goosen though. We have to explain the Goosen
Probably-
because I'm sure that like we'll have a picture of Goosen, but you have to
Yeah.
explain what that haircut looks like.
Okay, so it's actually back in style. I don't know if you guys are around young people, but it's back. It is a middle part, of course.
Mhm.
So let me just go ahead and.
Get it going.
Oh, that's
Thank you so
you
much.
do
Oh my
it.
god,
Matt's doing
this is
it.
backwards. It's so difficult. So it's like a middle part where they're that didn't work, but
No, it didn't. It did not work. Matt tried valiantly to
Wait, maybe
participate
I
in the
can
middle,
do
and it
Yeah.
just fought him
that
tooth and
just
nail. That didn't work. But I would have loved if you had kept trying, and just like
If you brought
that was
mine
valiant.
up a little.
But it was like
Or
it had to. It sort of was like a little. There was a little flip, right? It was in
it kind of
down the middle.
parts and
and
then
then
it
it was flip up,
flips
and
out a
then-
little bit.
Yeah.
It's like a little Prince Valiant type of like cut. It's like a medieval cut a little bit, right? Like a Knights of the Round Table cut
A little bit with some
This
flair
is-
on the ends.
with some flair.
Definitely
yeah.
flair.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
flair. So hopefully everybody's got this visual of Mitchell Goosen. So like the actor that played Mitchell, Shane McDermott, I've kept up with him, of course, over the years. When somebody's a big influence on your life, you don't just let it go, So I think when it came to Airborne, like he knocked it out of the park. And then he did a little bit of All My Children after that, I believe. And then he hung it up.
Mm.
It's just like there's nowhere to
Yeah.
go after
Why?
that.
When
And
when you
I
perfected
believe
it.
he's a real estate agent in Galveston, Texas. He's
love
just
it.
no longer in the
Oh.
business. Yeah. Some other like just really interesting things about this movie that, I didn't know at the time, but like this was the first time that I had saw Jack Black in a movie. So then, later down the road, I'm seeing Jack Black. I was like, I know this guy. This guy's the Airborne guy. It's
Yeah.
great in Airborne.
I
and
mean,
also
he's like legit funny in Airborne. I mean, there's a lot of people
Oh.
in Airborne. There's a lot of jokes in Airborne. Things are a little cheesy in Airborne, but Jack Black is Jack Black always. Like,
oh yeah.
just
How old was Jack Black when he was doing this? Because he did Neverending Story Part 2.
mhm.
He did Airborne, and then he did Bob Roberts within like a very tight time frame, right? And he has that baby face, right?
Mhm.
But I swear,
Yeah.
like, I mean, what is he like? He's like 53, 54 now. So he was probably like, what, 20
20?
at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
bet he
so.
was
I don't
20.
have, yeah, but he looked like he was 13.
Yeah, he still
So
had
people-
the baby face.
Yeah, he still has
And-
the
and
baby
this-
face. To
and
me,
this
like,
was,
he still looks like
Mhm.
childlike.
And this was right before Neverending Story. So like I was scrolling through IMDb's, just kind of thinking through all of the just the tangled web that Airborne weaves. And that was something I noticed. Like I think probably his first like big in quotations, big role that he had, film role. And then same thing with Seth Green. So it was the first time.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wiley.
cousin
10 and 2
Wiley.
Yep. 10 and 2.
That's a good one. Um,
Cousin Why? That's crazy. That is. I actually forgot he was in that. But yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. so it's a classic fish out of water story for anybody who's hasn't seen it yet, where this cool Californian guy goes to Cincinnati to stay with his aunt and uncle and cousin. And
Because
the
isn't
movie.
it psycho? His parents are just like, we're gonna go to Australia for a while, so and you can't come, and it's
Yeah.
kind of going to be a long time. Go to Cincinnati, right?
It's gonna be 6 months. You have to go to
Yeah.
Cincinnati, and it just like watching this movie like as an adult, you kind of some things don't make like a lot of sense. Like the mom, the 10 and 2, she
Yeah.
sounds like she's from Minnesota.
You're just such a handsome young man. I bet all the young ladies are after you.
And like the
Yeah.
movie is very big on hockey. And And when they're showing Cincinnati, like it's like incredibly snowy. And it's,
Mhm.
I guess I can't speak for, I haven't spent a lot of time in Cincinnati in the winter, but I don't know if it has that hockey, really cold culture. But regardless, our hero finds himself
Probably
there.
not.
Yeah. Our hero finds himself there. And, he just, it's just not the same as California, and everybody's not taken to him. They don't like the way he talks with his California Maharishi talk. And so then throughout it, he's always saying like, you got to be yourself. You just got to be who you are. He's given examples like Popeye.
I am what I am, and that's all what I am. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
And then Cousin Wiley is sort of the yang to that yin. And he's always trying to find who he is and kind of mimic other people. And so I think being really young and watching this, like I was in Kansas City, I think I realized that like California looks so amazing with the beaches and the palm trees and the weather. You know, you come to Cincinnati, or in my case, I'm just thinking Kansas City. The people they're not going to understand how cool you really are. And I think that's what I identified with it. It's like, I'm that California guy. I'm just in this place. And really like that lifestyle is what I need, as like, a very young person. But I think that was like my like early exposure to like what it means to be cool and what it means to be like somebody who lives in California. And for me, they just got completely just mashed together.
Yeah, you kind of got your like little guidepost, your anchor that like, you know, gave you the vision of the future. You got that from Airborne. That's a big
I
gift.
I got that gift from Airborne, and only possible through having large amounts of unsupervised time where I could just watch a lot of TV and movies during the summer.
Mm. I love
Well,
that. We haven't talked too much on the show about that pivotal time when it was just decided, kind of unbeknownst to you, like, yeah, you get to stay at home alone now. Like just and probably it was just a day, like it was probably something that parents don't plan. They're just kind of like, "Oh fuck, I didn't you don't have well, yeah, I mean you're good, right? You're fine." And then it's like
What's
it's
wait. Let's give Matt his due. Were your parents like that, or because, or because I think it was more our parents that were like that. It seems like your parents probably would have had a conversation, like a decent conversation, right?
I think it was basically like we've got two kids and some kind of daycare costs twice as much money as one kid.
Right.
So
yeah.
we're
Right.
we're
It was a
making the
conversation.
financial. It was a
Yeah.
conversation, and it was a financial decision of like, let's let this kid just like hang out at home, and that'll be cheaper than sending him to daycare or like hiring some
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
sitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was definitely our consideration, like our parents' consideration, like when because Heidi was not at daycare. Heidi was with me either at home or at our grandparents. Grandparents was like
Mhm.
the default, right? But there were definitely some times where it was like, oh, okay, there was no sort of like financial consideration. It was just like Heidi was saying, oh wait, yeah, you guys can stay by yourselves for 2 hours. Okay. All right, cool. But
Yeah.
generally it was grandparents, yeah.
Yeah. And like sometimes for a while, like if Mama wasn't there, Bampo was there. But then I remember one time, like the first time ever, where I was like, "Oh, I don't think Bampo's here either." I remember
No.
being really scared. It turned out Bampo was in the basement the whole time, but I just couldn't find him. But So yeah, I was kind of a wuss the first time I was ever thought I was
We
home
were
alone.
we were left to our own devices. I mean, that was like basically the latchkey kids of the 70s, kind of turned into like the I don't know, self-supervised kids of the 80s and 90s, where
Mhm.
there was maybe some adult in some proximity, right? But it definitely was, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that does that exist anymore? Is that one of those things that probably is gone because people are just so afraid of leaving their kids by themselves?
Well, I feel like you've got like cameras everywhere now. Like everybody has cameras everywhere.
Oh,
So
right.
I mean, you could
Yeah.
even
You
like
can just
yell at your kid through the camera. Um,
Mhm.
so it's like they could be by themselves, but they're not like truly by themselves because they're being watched or
Totally.
they have their phone on them all the time. You can track them.
you can
Um,
track your kids.
oh
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah. So and that's something I was
Wow.
thinking about like when I was, in my nostalgia. Was just that like, this is gonna come off like kind of like an old guy. But like back in the day, culture had these really like salient chunks, like they were movies, and it existed as a movie. It still exists. I can go back and watch it. Um, versus now, like if you're spending a lot of time, on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, and you're watching influencers. I'm not saying it's like a totally different thing, but the one difference that I feel like
Oh,
is there is like there's no like salient chunks that you're going to be able to like go back to like I can with Airborne and just think like, oh, that was that one thing that had this, profound effect on my life. As like ridiculous as it sounds, like that's the thing, and it still exists in its form. Do you guys know what I'm
Yeah.
talking
I
about?
I will say though that it's horrible. I mean, it's so fragmented, and what you're talking about, I think, was really important to us. Like we were talking in a show about VHS culture and being able to basically like go to the video store, browse, right? Be physically there, pick up physical media, right? And then take these two movies home and just go to different worlds, right? And really be focused in on them. I mean, that was when like you would watch a movie at your house all the way through. You couldn't pause television, right? You know, and you just wanted to watch the movie all the way through. With now, it's this kind of like endless scroll, right? So nothing really ever sticks. It's just this sort of
Hmm.
like, hey, here's somebody doing something crazy, and here's somebody doing something crazy, and here's somebody else doing something crazy, right? Right.
Yeah.
It's not that I would say like, people call themselves influencers because they actually aren't, you know, like they're
Mm.
not really influencing anything. They're just sort of like influencing their bottom line. Movies were super influential with how we
Ah.
wanted to be, like the how we wanted to look. Like it really did set your course towards California. That was the first
Oh,
time you're like, wait a second,
absolutely.
I want to live there, right? And you did it. You did it.
Yeah, just rewatching it, just in preparation for this podcast, I forced my fiance and my sister and brother-in-law all to watch it, and
Love it.
yeah, just the opening shots were of Manhattan Beach, which, of course, being really young, I would have had no idea, but having like lived in LA and lived in Manhattan Beach for a year and a half. Like I knew that. And so just like, is that how deep it goes? Not only is it California, but I'm reliving specific scenes of the movie. Um, who knows?
It got in your blood.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
it
This
did.
rollerblading inline skating movie got in your blood. And, like we said, we talked about one other rollerblading movie already on the show, Brink. We had Andrew Dismukes on, and he talked to us about Brink. Then there's Airborne, but there was actually a rollerblading movie that came before
OG.
both of those that was part of this rollerblading trio. It's actually kind of close and personal to Justin and I. You'll find out a little bit more about that later. But Justin, what was the other rollerblading movie?
I would say you had a lot of roller skating movies. Okay. So the
Mhm.
fact that people like, rollerball, right? Those were roller skates, right? So there was a lot of roller skating movies, but I can't find any because rollerblading was like a company. A company like created, this new form of skating. Um, and I cannot find any movies before this one that have rollerblades in them. So, Prayer of the Roller Boys. Do we know this one?
I
No.
do.
This
Matt,
is-
do you know
Okay.
it?
Well, we
I-
obviously know it because of a reason that we'll say soon. But
Well,
Matt,
I also know it because another reason. I'll just say, because it's where we were when Prayer of the Roller Boys came out in 1990. I was at a sleepover at Jessica Shelton's house, probably in like 92 or 93 with my friend Ashley Tremaine. And we're like all flipping around the channels. And suddenly there's like this movie where like all these dudes in long white trench coats are just like rollerblading around. Like they kind of look like badass, but also kind of like cheesy because it's like all white trench coats and they kind of look like angels.
and they're
and-
swinging their arms in unison. They're like they're
Yes.
rollerblading in like a V formation, like zhoosh, zhoosh, zhoosh.
Yeah. And I think Jessica Shelton was just kind of like ready to like flip the channel. It was like her TV. She was just like, what is this? And Ashley and I, who were just a little more tuned into like, I don't know, comedy at a young age, were like, no, we need to like stop on this. Like, what are they doing? Like, we were very like, we were just ready to dog on them, make fun of them. I think we were like, they suck. This is stupid. So that was my intro to Prayer of the Roller Boys. And then it took me forever. I mean, because also, I don't know, there wasn't a TV guide around or a channel guide on the TV. So we also were like, what was that? So for years, I would ask people, I'm like, do you remember that movie where those guys are like in long white trench coats and they like rollerblade? And, like Matt's reaction right then, like, I don't know what that is. It took me forever to
But
figure
I
out what the
want
movie
to
was.
know. I want to know what that is. That's
Okay, this is a crazy fucking movie. All right. You need to watch it because it has like some pretty weird ties to like present day. So like Corey Haim is the lead in it. And Corey Haim knows how to fucking rollerblade because he is doing all of the rollerblading in this. I mean, as far as I can tell, right? So he plays this guy who's it's set in an America that basically has like been destroyed by the greed and excess of the 80s, right? So the
Cool.
government, I guess, people were too greedy. The government borrowed too much money. And like you can hear in the background all of this, like this fairly like prescient type of like financial reports about how like the bond market is crashing and nobody's buying like the United States bonds anymore. So they can't hold any debt. I mean, kind of fairly high level shit for like a rollerblading movie. Right. And it's set in LA and it basically the economy has just been decimated. Right. And there's all these hints towards these camps and like people had been in like these camps and the leader of the oh gosh, the roller boys. Okay. So the roller boys are this group of trench coat wearing, really white supremacists. That's what they are. they're like not good guys. Right. And, they represent one side. Corey Haim is like a pizza delivery guy. He's just like, he knows that they're bad guys. They're dealing this drug mist. Right. So think about this, right? You've got financial collapse. In the background, they talk about how Washington, D.C. was like overrun by riots. And you have this like these white supremacists who are dealing a drug called mist, which is MIST, right?
Okay.
4 letters, starts with M, right? I mean, like there
Mhm.
was like some kind of interesting like stuff. about this movie. But yeah, I mean, like it was like the first rollerblading movie, you know? And it's like you had that, then you had like Mighty Ducks, right? Because Mighty Ducks had like a really like, heavy rollerblading influence. And then Airborne came after, and Brink was sort of like it ended the era of rollerblading
Mhm.
movies. But yeah, Per of the Rollerboys was definitely like more sci-fi.
Yes. And
Yep.
and that probably is why it didn't do as well. I mean, that's a
Oh,
lot
it
for
vanished. It vanished. Yeah.
I mean,
real
what-
quick. I wanted to just make sure because I didn't want to forget. And I'm sorry to cut you off here. But the reason that people had rollerblades in the future was to get around. Like that's why so many people, it was like a primary mode of transportation because like the economy had collapsed.
Mm.
So I brought that up earlier and I wanted to make sure, but like this was like a big deal. Everybody were on rollerblades because you could kind of get around faster.
That's
Gas
cool.
wasn't there were still cars in this place, but it really actually had a function. So it was, I think if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, it actually is on YouTube for free. So you should just look it up and check it out because it's a really weird, interesting little time capsule.
I mean, just
Yeah,
think
it's
about that future of everybody rollerblading. We
I
could have
know.
had that future. I feel like we were really close.
We
And
might still
somehow-
have that future. We might
Well,
still have that future.
Somehow we got like the Lime scooters everywhere, and they're saying like, "Hey, this
Right.
is the last mile. This is how you get. It's too
Mhm.
long to walk, and you have to have an electric scooter." But what about rollerblades?
we could bring it back.
I think
Let's bring it back.
We could bring it
This-
back. We could bring it
this
back real
episode-
easy.
Is going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, rollerblades are in. Now, the guy who wrote Prayer of the Roller Boys, Peter Iliff is his name. He also wrote a very quintessential California movie called Point Break.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all seen it.
Oh,
Yes.
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 What, 100 times? I mean, how many times have we seen Point Break?
100.
Between the movie and then out in LA, they have that like
Point Break
that
Live.
Point Break Live. Yeah. If you've never
Mhm.
seen Point Break Live, you need to see Point Break Live. It's amazing. It's hilarious.
So
But yeah,
good. Matt, do you remember where you were when you saw Point Break?
I don't have as like strong of a memory as I do of like the summers of Airborne, but I'm pretty sure, like I know I didn't see it in the theater. I'm pretty sure this was a movie that I caught pieces of fairly regularly, like, in that period of time where movies are just playing on cable and you're catching them, like you said, you don't know what's playing when, you catch it. I'm sure I tuned in at one point and I saw, surfing scenes, loved it. Another time, skydiving, cool. But
And
it
Patrick
probably was
Swayze.
much later that I like saw it all together. And, and then much later you like see who all's involved with it. And it's just, yeah, so impressive.
The skydiving, Patrick Swayze did all of his skydives. I mean,
Well, it was that one scene in the trailer where he's like talking to Keanu Reeves and you can clearly see him just fall out of the plane. Like that was pre like face replacement. You knew that
Bodhi.
was Patrick Swayze, Bodhi,
Bodhi.
just delivering a line and then just falling backwards through midair.
incredible.
Patrick Swayze was the coolest guy between Dirty Dancing and Roadhouse and then Point Break. Those three movies were all within like 4 or 5 years of each other.
Mm-hmm.
It was, The
Yeah,
hair,
Point Break was 91. Yeah.
right. The hair,
So-
the accent, he was just ripped. I mean, he would, yeah, it was
This was the
it was-
Chippendales SNL sketch. This was right in there. Like he knew how to hang with the comedians. He could make fun of himself. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And this is
Perfect
also
80.
like peak Keanu time, just like coming
Yeah.
into
Johnny
his
Utah.
own. It's after Bill and Ted's, and
Mm-hmm.
they had to have been like, hey, we saw what you did in Bill and Ted's and just turn it up. And we're going to give you a name, Johnny Utah, and just embrace what I think is the inner Keanu. And
Well, isn't Keanu very like isn't he from Hawaii, West Coast, California,
Mhm.
lives in California? It just felt like he read the script. He's like, yes.
oh yeah,
Like, yes.
Yeah,
This
this
is
fits
me.
me. Now, this was one that, so we've mentioned this on the show before, but on Friday nights, our mom would always if we were with our mom that week, she would always let Justin and I pick a movie to go see on Friday nights. And we would alternate. One would be Justin's week, one would be my week. I typically remember whose week it was. I want to say, Justin, that you and I might have come to an agreement
We
on this
agreed.
one. Like,
Absolutely.
for
That
sure. We're like,
trailer.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's Point Break. Now, what's really weird is, we just talked about on last week's show, like fighting over like Bill and Ted and the Burbs and all this stuff. And like any of these movies, our mom was like a couple years single at this point, like had a very social life, gregarious, kind of like, a queen of Kansas City. Her and her girlfriends called themselves the Girls Night Out Let's Have Fun Club. Like she
Wait. Don't go over that too quickly. Say that again. What was the name of that group of women?
Girls Night Out Let's Have Fun Club.
That is an amazing name for a group of friends.
Incredible. Okay.
Like, it's amazing. That is
And
amazing.
Let me just say really quick, this
We
group
need to
of
make a
friends-
t-shirt that says Girls Night Out Let's Have Fun Club. We
Justin,
need to make a t-shirt.
I have her original one.
They had t-shirts?
They had t-shirts. Because they took-
my God.
They took a trip to San Francisco all together and they had t-shirts made. And I also want to say that these women, instead of Tupperware parties, which were really big at the time, my mom and her friends did lingerie parties. And I was dragged along to these where it was a lingerie consultant would like come to someone's house. Usually it was Lynn Starr. Yes, my mom had a friend named Lynn Starr who was like, I mean, I loved all her friends, but like Lynn Starr had the name of a star. It was like so cool. And so some lingerie consultant would come, bring a rack of lingerie, and then all of these the Girls Night Out Let's Have Fun Club would try on like the lingerie you'd see in the 80s, like the silk robes and long negligees and like ostrich feather, like little kitten heels. And they would like act like the living room was like a runway and walk out in the lingerie and like model for each other. And in my head, I'm watching all of this as like a 6-7-year-old, and I'm like, these are what real women are. Like, this is the goal. This is like, I mean, it was just incredible.
Oh.
So that's all to say, like, our mom had like a hopping, exciting life. And, and she had 2 kids. And I just want to say that like so like seeing Bill and Ted wasn't like her first choice of what she wanted to do, but she always choked it down. But when we said we wanted to see Point Break, something about that like broke her.
Yes.
Like she was like, no, Keanu, no, honeys, no, I don't want to see that movie. That looks so stupid. Like she was not into Patrick Swayze. She was like, the surfing one, no, God, no. But Justin and I were like, and she was like, one of you pick a different one. We're like, no, we both want to see this one, Mom. We both want to see it.
United front. It was a united front.
Okay. But like,
and you know what? And you know what? We were right.
We were right. Okay.
Yes.
But
you'll soon learn why.
Yeah. We go to Crown Center. We see the movie. Justin and I love it. Like we should, like everyone should. But I mean, the whole time our mom is just, I mean, she's one of those people in the theater, every line being like, oh God. Oh, okay. Oh, jumping out of the plane. Okay. I mean, she was like, And at the end of it was like, oh my God, you two, that was horrible. Like just total waste of time. Okay. So our mom was at the time a cocktail waitress at a bar. And again, like she, made money in tips. She was like very personable, could talk to anybody, met like all these crazy characters.
Hard worker.
Hard worker.
Because she had a full-time job, and then she
Yes.
was a cocktail waitress at the Quaff.
Yes. And so a couple weeks after we see Point Break, she's working one of her shifts that night. And she is talking to a guy at the bar who is like, oh, I'm in town, from California. Like I work in the movies. And my mom like was like, oh, and he was like, what? And she's like, oh, sorry if I don't sound impressed. Oh my God, I saw this, total stinker of a movie with my kids last week. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. At the end of the movie, the last line he says, Patrick Swayze says is,
You gotta go down! It's gotta be that way!
oh, isn't that awful? And the guy goes, I wrote that. That's Point Break. That's my movie. And she was like, oh, you're fucking kidding. Fuck you, motherfucker. You're fucking kidding me. And he's like, no, I wrote Point Break. I know that's my movie. And she was like, I'm so sorry.
Well,
and
how does your brain not break when you can you imagine the amount of coincidence and just like the stars aligning for that to fucking happen? The guy who wrote that movie just happens to be in Kansas City, happens to come to the Quaff. She happens to work on that specific day.
Mhm.
And we had just forced her to see that movie. What? I don't know, like a few weeks or a month,
Yeah.
2 months back.
probably just a couple weeks before. Yeah.
It's insane. Like that is insane to think
fresh
about.
enough
And
for
that-
her to
that
still remember
happened.
the last line. Yeah.
Yeah, and that happened. That actually 100% happened. Like
That happened.
she insulted Peter Iliff.
Yes.
Yes.
And you have to imagine at that time, like this like famous screenwriter who just wrote Point Break, he's probably getting like a lot of attention for Point Break. And this woman like totally insults him. Like, she probably is thinking like, oh my God, I'm not,
just
there goes
rips
my tip.
him.
And then he ends up asking her, like, hey, I'm actually in town doing some research for a movie. Like, I need someone to show me around. Will you do it? And so then she ends up like showing him around Kansas City.
It's a cute meet. It's a cute meet.
Wow.
This is the very definition of a cute meet. Like that, he straight up insults him and he hears that. And it's so honest that he's like, I can trust this person. You know?
Yeah.
I can trust this person to like tell me the truth.
And then Justin, what is it that we suppose he was in town for?
Okay, so she told us that he was in town to check out Kansas City, because he just wanted to check out Kansas City. But what was happening is he wanted to check out Kansas City because basically he wanted to be shown around town. But like, as you'll soon find out, there was a relationship that evolved out of that. But he was hanging out with storm chasers in Kansas. And a couple years after that, 3-4 years after that, Twister comes out.
Yeah.
So, you know how Hollywood works. Like we don't know because he's not listed on any of the credits. Like he's not listed on the credits of Twister. So like Hollywood works, like sometimes there will be 2 volcano movies. Like somebody hears somebody at one studio and is like, oh, they've got a tornado movie. We got to get our tornado movie, right? And so that might have been the deal. But he also could have like come up with the pitch that then became Twister. Right. That's why he was in town. So it was just and I put that together because like years later, I'd remembered that story because that was like, something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a writer, and I would always keep up with the movies. And then Twister came out, and like I was, told Heidi and Mom, I was like, I bet that was the movie that he was in town for. So it was cool just to kind of like put those things together back then as a kid and kind of get a little sneak behind the scenes.
Yeah, and they also like he came in town a few times to do that research, and so like they would hang out when he came to town, like go out together. And I have this it's just been a memory that I've like kept with me forever. Um One night when he was in town, he was staying at the Hyatt downtown Kansas City, which at the time had like that revolving restaurant on the top of it, Skies. Matt, do you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Like the coolest.
The coolest. It was just like the coolest hotel. It also had the Peppercorn Duck Club restaurant, which there will never be a better name for a fancy restaurant, in my opinion,
No.
the Peppercorn Duck
No.
Club. So my mom's getting ready to go out to meet Peter at the Hyatt. She kind of told me I think there was like a party there that night. And I remember her closet for me was always like just like I mean, it's my dream closet now. It's like probably what I'm trying to like buy all the clothes that were in her closet, but it was just like so many hats and heels and jewelry and like little mini dresses of the 90s. But she walked out in this velvet mini dress. It was like a sweetheart cut with a bolero jacket and then big gemstones of all different colors around the bust. And again, for me, just like the lingerie party, I was like, that's what a woman is supposed to look like. Like she just looked like so beautiful and fun, and like she was in all black, but the gemstones were so big. It was just so bright. And like she was going to meet this, guy from Hollywood and at a hotel, at a fancy hotel. And I just was like, oh my God, I have the coolest mom in the world. Like it was, I mean, I want to say that then she left me home alone and I was probably too young. But nothing bad happened. And I've just like never forgot that, like her going out to meet him, the writer of Point Break. It was just like, oh my, like that was like at a time where it's like, well, that's the closest I'll ever get to a movie, and I think I remember even Justin, you and I being like, do we get to meet him? You know what I mean? He probably
Right.
did
And we never
not
did.
want to meet us.
No, we never did. We never did. Yeah. But of course, like with a single mom, you also start to think about like, is that going to be my dad?
Yeah.
Because you don't know how dating works, right? So it's just like, oh, like, huh, that'd be cool. And you just kind
Yeah.
of start to like think, and your mind starts to wander. But no, we never met. We never met this man.
We never met him, but we did just hear from him recently.
Well, Ernestine Eileen Hilke did,
Our
because
mom.
she was on, yes, that's Ernie. She was on the Mother's Day show for SNL, which is just absolutely surreal to me that our mother was on Saturday Night Live. So, and as they do, right? We took a photo outside of 30 Rock, and she posted on Facebook, and guess who commented? Peter Iliff.
Writer of
I had
Point
not
Break.
thought of Peter Iliff for over a decade. I mean, it's been a minute, right? And I think he posted something like, looking good, Ernie, and I don't, and it's crazy. It's crazy because like, I have to imagine that, because, mom, like she's, a little bit of an older generation, right? Those are the folks who are getting on Facebook and and making us get off of it. But yeah, just connecting with people. And I have to imagine she probably looked him up and probably like friend requested him, and like that whole like, so it was just, yeah, I mean, it's completely adorable. And he was just so nice and kind, to like just post that, I'm sure that just made her day. So it just,
I
I don't
mean,
know. It all comes full
he
circle, right?
he could still be our
Yeah.
stepdad.
Yeah, this I was gonna say this story doesn't sound like it's over.
It's
Yeah.
not over. Yeah.
And
it's
she
not
must have
over.
made some kind of impression on him, all these years later.
Oh, yeah.
I
Our
bet she
mom was
did.
going to make an impression. Yeah, like there was no way that you would ever forget her. I mean,
And
that she
just
just was that type of person.
that earnestness of like, yeah, at the time he was probably just getting all the praise in the world. And there's this woman who's just like, you don't impress me. I just called you out
Mm-mm.
for the dumbest line of all time. Like not in my opinion. I think it's a brilliant.
Well,
line, but
and she wasn't one to like try and put on airs in front of really anybody either, right? Like like she wasn't rude. She wouldn't, if she
Mm-mm.
knew that he wrote the movie, she wouldn't have said that,
no.
right? But she also, knowing that he was a writer, she wouldn't have treated him any differently than any other customer either.
Yeah.
You know, because that's where some Kansas City Royals would come into the bar too, like George Brett and Brett Saberhagen. And the reason they like to come into the quaff is that nobody treated them like they were these big stars,
Yeah.
right? They were just normal people, right? So it's a very like Midwestern type of deal. But yeah. Peter Iliff commented on Ernie's Facebook SNL photo. So that was pretty cool.
So that's our point break where we were when. Matt, thank you for being on that journey with us.
That was special. I could not help but notice how it calls back to Airborne, because here you have the writer of Point Break going to Kansas City. Maybe it was snowing at the time. And
Going to the Midwest.
just getting guff from the Midwesterners. Like,
yes.
hey, I don't appreciate this California-ness. You can just leave it.
Yeah, you were
It
right.
happens.
Man, we give them guff in the Midwest.
Give
Well,
them guff.
well, that was very fun taking a little walk down memory lane with our California movies. But like we do at the end of every show, we like to bring it current with what we're into now with a segment that we like to call That's So Raven, where we talk about what we're obsessed with. So Matt, what are you obsessed with these days?
So, okay, I recently discovered this podcast that I've just been really into. It's called Conspirituality. And
Ooh,
it's
okay.
about like this connection between like conspiracy thinking and like the wellness influencer world, which includes like various spiritual disciplines, if you will. But it's three guys, and they each have really like interesting perspectives and history with either one of those things. And it's just been really fascinating. And living in LA, like I have belonged to a meditation studio. I feel like that world is very close to me, and it's so fascinating. Kind of listening to experts come on to talk about, how conspiracy thinking and spirituality, can be related. So I've been into that.
Okay. I like that. That sounds like a very good listen. Very good listen.
Heidi, I'm going to ask you what you're into. What's so Raven for you this week? Because I think I have something pretty cool to show you.
Mine is, so this weekend I went away with Zeb to Wildwood, New Jersey, which is on the Jersey Shore. I didn't really know what I was expecting, other than that there was a boardwalk, and I was just super excited about a boardwalk. But we get to Wildwood, New Jersey, and it is a town that has not been touched by time. And I mean this by like, it is like Motel City. There's like 10 motels on every block. They've got the most fantastic signs, balconies, towels hanging over every balcony, kids swimming everywhere. It was just, I mean, it was like just in the first time that we went to Florida. Like,
Right.
in the,
Yeah,
it
just
was,
think of that.
it just took me back in the best way. And then the boardwalk was incredible. There were so many attractions. Like, we paid $6 to ride in a monster truck, like on dunes. Like, I got to ride in a monster truck.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was it was like I was a little kid again. It was so much fun. So I just have to say there's like, living in New York, you hear a lot of people get away for the weekend to like the Hamptons and Montauk. And
Ugh.
and I'm a Jersey girl. Now I'm a Jersey
Go the
Shore.
opposite way.
Yes.
Yeah, go the opposite way.
I've done both now, and I'm for sure the Jersey girl. So that's mine.
That's awesome.
Justin, what's your That's So Raven?
That's So Raven for me this week is physical media.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
So I was doing a little cleaning in the basement,
Okay.
and I found some stuff that
Okay.
was awesome.
Okay.
No, it's good. No, it's good. It's good. It's good. It seems like there's like, concern in your voice, but this is all really good. So I'm going to hold on. Okay. So does anybody remember these?
Oh,
Floppy disk.
yeah.
Or
Floppy
disk drive.
disks.
Yeah.
Okay. So color coded. Can you read this? Scripts, Disc 1, The Big Lebowski, Badlands, The Sixth Sense, American Beauty, Boogie Nights, Fight Club.
Whoa.
I've got I think 6 of these.
Whoa.
You remember when you did this?
I did that?
1.4. No.
Oh.
This is me. 1.4 megabytes on each one of these discs.
Dang.
Isn't that? And I mean, like that. Those are full scripts.
That's
So
cool.
Isn't that cool? Okay, so
Yeah.
that's that. Singles.
Yes.
Singles.
Ooh,
Right
is
Said
that-
Fred.
Wow.
Whoa.
I'm Too Sexy. Both sides. Oh, I'm Too Sexy, the Spanish version too. So,
Nice.
Right Said Fred. I'm Too Sexy, which was that was one of those amazing
single.
songs. Yeah, a single, right? Then I've got some VHS.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know how I procured this. I don't even know if I've seen it, but Corey Haim, Double O Kid,
Ooh.
right after Prayer of the Roller Boys,
Double O Kid. Wow.
Fighting Black Kings,
Whoa.
karate movie, right? This is about, it's like actually like karate champions. This is not a movie. This is just like people fighting. Like for
Okay. Wow.
real. Again, Country Partner Dancing
Yes.
includes the 2-step.
I feel like
Slowing. Did
I
we?
used to
Yeah, we
have
watched
that.
this.
yeah.
This was probably, well, I know that some of these are yours. Future Legends of Baseball featuring Jose Canseco, Wade Boggs, Roger Clemens, and Frank Viola. So this is
Sick.
Future Legends of Baseball. Beverly Hills Teens.
That's mine.
That's yours. Okay, because get ready for it. New Kids on the Block,
That's mine.
Mhm.
Hangin' Tough Live.
Oh, that's mine.
Okay. The Golden Globes Part 1,
Oh.
Something You Taped. The Golden
Sick.
Globes Part 2.
Sick. Oh, I
right.
love that.
Are you ready?
Oh my God.
You're going to flip your shit.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Waiting for Guffman. Oh.
Can you read this? Can you see this?
No, I can't. Wait.
Okay. I'm sure that it's going to be in focus to some people.
I recorded Waiting for Guffman, but I can't read what.
Okay. All right. It says, Waiting for Guffman. This is Heidi's copy of Waiting for Guffman. And for those who borrow it, it must be returned in top condition or one will be persecuted. That's what that says.
Ooh.
That is you, your art.
Oh,
I held on to this for you.
thank
This
you.
is why physical media. This is why physical media. You can,
Yeah.
if you buy this on Voodoo or whatever the fuck you buy it on, you don't have this memory.
Oh,
This is why we need physical media, because physical media means memories.
yeah.
And when all of our memories are stored in the cloud and they can just be deleted like that, they're not memories. And they're owned by somebody else.
Yeah.
You own this forever,
Yes.
right? That's
Oh, I
why we're
love
doing
it.
this podcast. So
Justin, did you find the video of Heidi's 2-hour long? As a fan of the pod, people will remember.
The second we got home from Waiting for Guffman, Ashley was spending the night that night, and we got out the video camera, and Ashley and I were like, let's do what they did. And we tried to improvise a 2-hour movie.
Okay.
that I never had any possession of that. They had
Okay.
to record over that.
Okay.
I have some other stuff though that I'm going to. There's some other like mini DV tapes. I know that Heidi played a cop one time in this like funny little video that we recorded during high school. I think I have that. You remember that when we were driving around
A little bit, yeah. Yep.
with whoever's boyfriend that was, who was like the muscle guy. We
Yes.
shot it at Ward Parkway. Yeah, you do.
I think
Yeah.
I do.
So I'm looking for that. But yeah, there you go. Physical media.
Love it.
How about that? So, and of course I'll send that. Of course I'll send that to you. But
Thank you.
I would. That was like finding like a fucking rookie card. You know, you're going through your baseball cards, right?
Yeah.
And like, you've gone through your baseball cards 100 times, and then you just happen upon like a Jerry Rice rookie card, and you're like, holy shit. Like I was going through all of these boxes, right? And I was like, oh yeah, there's like, I've got this big box of VHS. And it was just right there at the bottom.
Mm.
Amazing.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful, right? Like that
Yeah.
was great. So
I love it. I love it. I loved the show tonight. Thank you, Matt, so much for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. It was so fun.
Thank you for our
And I
theme song. We love it.
oh, and Matt, real quickly, I might be putting him on the spot. I don't know if you talked to him about this. Does he want to, like, I heard that like you might want to make a full song of Where We Will
Oh
Win?
yeah. I absolutely do. So
Ooh!
in the works.
Ooh, I feel
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't like put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I
No,
actually, if you said no at that point, that would probably be horrible, right? But like, I know that you
Right.
want to do it, so
Yeah.
I put you on the spot, but not really, right?
not really. I told Heidi before that like I love that song too. Just like it gets in your head, it like gets in my head. And so yeah, I was thinking like this could be a full song. Like what I gave you guys, I think it was like a minute. And I
Right.
know there's a whole song in there and I'm noodling around. And yeah, I would like to release it as a single and have it be like the theme song to Where We Were When. And yeah, we'll have to update everybody on like the release date as it's
100%.
getting ready. But I want to give it the treatment it deserves.
The
Thank you,
most
Matt.
important question. The most important question.
Yes.
Will it be free?
Isn't all music free
I brought
now?
it back around.
Yeah,
Got a call back.
It'll live on Spotify.
It's for you.
And it
It's
will
for
be
you. It's for you.
free. Yes.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Well, I do have
Amazing.
one more thing, Heidi. I do have one more thing.
Okay, the last
Um,
segment.
The last segment. Yeah. And viewers and not listeners necessarily, because they haven't been as your cats have. I guess your cats have been a little bit vocal. They've heard your cats, right?
Yeah, they've seen
I
them.
want.
Yeah.
They've seen them, yeah, but listeners haven't seen them, right? I
Mhm.
don't know if they've been meowing or whatever, but I've got somebody I would like everybody to meet
Oh,
because
my
mom's
God.
away, so the boys are hanging out this week,
Ooh.
and I.
Oh my God. There's going to be an animal on screen soon. I can feel it. I can feel it.
This is Django.
Hi, Django.
So
Oh.
Django just got up from a nap.
Oh, he's tired. I can see it. My
He
nephew.
is tired. He is tired. That's Django, and he doesn't like this, but I'm sorry.
He doesn't
So-
like it.
So, Django, he's got like a voice and he talks like this. And he
Oh.
just- yeah, he's like excited about being on show and stuff. And he's got like a sketch he'd like to pitch you.
Oh, so your
Yes.
dog wants to pitch me a sketch
Yeah.
for SNL?
Yeah. So
Cool.
how about a sketch where it's all people, and to say hello, they just sniff each other's butts.
Shut up, Django.
Now,
Shut up. No, shut up.
you're not
Shut
gonna let
up.
me do the whole thing?
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Shut up.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Do you see how cute this dog is? You're breaking
Dogs
this
shouldn't
dog's
be
heart.
allowed to pitch sketches.
You're breaking this dog's heart. I just want you to know.
You broke his heart by
Your
bringing
auntie-
him onto the camera. He was sleeping. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Here, go and sleep. Here you go. But seriously, what do you think
Everybody-
about that idea? You
No.
think about that? That's no.
No. Everybody,
That-
you can find Matt Saladino on Instagram. At Waves and Waves is your Insta, right?
At Waves and Waves _ Somebody has the Waves and Waves.
Oh
If
my
if
God.
anybody knows the
Mm.
person that has at Waves and Waves, let them know. I'm looking for it. So it's at Waves and Waves
Yeah.
_
Okay. And you've got a new album coming out, After School Special. When does it come out?
So we are releasing them as singles. And
Awesome.
so it's like once a month there is a new one that drops. And so
Okay.
just follow and you'll be in the know.
Will you make a cassette of it?
I have to. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I
You
have to make a cassette of
Physical media.
have to.
Let's
Oh,
bring it
of-
back.
We
it. Of
should
course.
let's make the where we were
Where
when
we're in.
we'll make it a
Physical
single.
media.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make a
single.
cassette.
Yes.
It's a
Like a
single.
single.
Yeah.
Done.
We're gonna do it.
Done.
I
Yes.
love
Or we
this.
commit. We commit today, right? A single, a cassette of Where We Were When.
Just start thinking about what you guys want on the B side. I don't know if we want a Spanish
Yeah.
version, but
Ooh.
just start
Ooh.
thinking. Okay, we can get creative.
I think some sketch ideas might be on the B side.
No.
Yeah. Ask
We don't
Django.
have a B-side of sketch
Yeah.
ideas.
They're free. So
No.
you know.
No. I love this
Gotta stick with
idea.
it.
I love you guys. I love the listeners. Thank you so much for listening to Where We Were When. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
How's this for some nostalgia? Hi, I just wanted to thank everybody for listening to Where We Were When this summer. My brother Justin and I have a really fun time recording it, and we've had some amazing guests. We're going to be taking a break in September, but we will be back in October with new episodes, new guests, and thank you so much for listening and also sharing your nostalgia and candy pics with us. I love reading about that stuff.